trying to get a very comfortable champion. If you're getting rid of the ROM, in my mind, this does mean that we are kind of looking towards maybe... I'm trying to think. You're trying to disincentivize a champion like Ornn. Maybe you're looking to get a more abusive matchup for Sasi to take control of, but he's not really been a player in my mind that tries to squeeze in that way.
Looking at with Rel and Braum all taken away.
Oh,
Leona, another possibility for LGD, and yeah, we don't ban the Yone. I think this is the part of a problem for LGD is now that it's not banned. I mean, do we take it immediately? Do we take it first base?
Oh, hell yeah. Look, we're going to get Yone for XQW. We're going to most likely pick up a Sejuani. I wonder if JDG are going to look to take this champion away because it has been such a potent pairing with XQW and this Yone. And it's a very clear tank jungler that Climber can pilot. I think it makes the game plan very, very easy, which is exactly what we need from our teams. Yeah, I don't need you to be reinventing the wheel here. You just got to find wins, and sometimes you got to keep it stupid simple.
Yeah. The Aurora and Yunara lock-in on the other side. I haven't really seen the Aurora pop up even in the bans, but I do know this is something that both Scout and Xiaoxu can play. Likely going to be going to Scout, if I'm honest.
Yeah, Xiaoxu only getting a single game on it during one of their series going into the end of the season. So with a lot of the different the different matchups that Aurora usually is good in mid gone, like you're saying, doubt it's going to be there. So Udyr, a pocket pick here for Sasi that we have seen all year long. Kind of pulling it out here. Xiaoxu doesn't have too many champions. I mean, again, I talked about K'Sante and Renekton being his best all year, but you don't really want to play K'Sante into new Udyr, and look, they're going to try and get away with this with a Trundle. Trundle has massive value here, but is he going to be able to withstand the engage coming in from a Yone? From even an Udyr who's going to eventually walk him down. Yeah,
you are going to need some other sort of front line, some other sort of crowd control I'd add if you are going to be giving Trundle over to Shun. Looking for what the mid-jungle matchup is going to be off of this as well, or rather, because we have Aurora, what Trundle's interactions with the mid-jungle matchup are going to be, because right now Trundle is of course really going to be nice in the jungle for dueling.
Yeah.
But once he shows up in mid lane, this does feel a little bit more defensive than offensive against somebody like a Yone who has an easier time escaping.
I can tell you've never been pillared in mid lane.
Yeah.
That is a disgusting ability. I've been pillared way too many times in mid lane, and it is the fact that you're not able to jump over it in a lot of instances. Very, very difficult. A lot of top lane counters here for Xiaoxu, expecting him to go towards the Jace or the Aatrox. I like the Aatrox in particular. What are we going to get in? In my mind, honestly, I'd like him to actually maybe save his pick until 5. You do know the matchup, but seeing what support they have does kind of change what flavor of top lane we might get.
Hey,
I hope Peyz isn't paying Leona.
I'm sorry, for sure. It's
sorry. I know.
Oh, I hope not. Sorry, taking this away for Zhuo is also technically a takeaway from YCX. We haven't seen Zhuo play Leona nearly as much as YCX has this split, so pushing YCX a little bit lower down on the priority list.
So all of the engaged supports are gone. And YCX has been a range support enjoyer. That's why we saw the Renata gone. We saw him play an early Seraphine. We are getting Taric back in. Now, not the first time we've seen Taric this year, but we have started to see a little bit more play. We saw at the beginning of play-ins in that Game 5 between FPX and NIP. And if JDG are going to play a low and slow, kind of low-range composition that has to walk into you, Taric is going to absolutely obliterate this.
Taric kind of slaps, and Taric with Sejuani and Udyr, Taric with Yone. There is a lot of potential for this support pick. I didn't see it coming, but I'm very, very glad it's caught me by surprise. Answer on the other side is going to be Jax for Xiaoxu.
Right.
This could solve a lot of problems. Jax, very strong, but...
Yeah. Jax is very good into both solo lanes here that LGD are showing. Talking about the laning phase, I do think that LGD are going to be able to find windows to be a little bit more proactive. We need to see how XQW and Climber end up interacting with each other. But when I look at bottom lane, I gotta say to you, level 1, level 2, they actually can play very, very aggressively into Peyz and Zhuo with that stun that Taric does have available, and Valkyrie being an incredibly powerful tool that Corki has, especially early on. So will we continue to see Savior and YCX actually slam Peyz and Zhuo in the laning phase? And a bigger question is that going to matter in this game?
It's really difficult to pinpoint what exactly is going to matter enough for LGD, because they've had early game successes, they've had mid game successes, they've had even some late game successes, but they've never been able to chain those sequentially into a win. So when does mattering cross the threshold? When do LGD convert from an advantage into a win? This is their last chance of the night to do so. If they aren't able to find and abuse an advantage here, they will be going home for the year. JDG on the other side have a chance to secure their spot in the playoffs. Game 3 right here, right now.
欢迎来到英雄联盟。敌军还有30秒到达战场。
There are JDG fans. Still waiting for the LGD fans. I was really sad because we have a fan that has been interacting with a lot of the broadcast. Alpaca or Cindy. She's been great with helping us. We met her at MSI and she kind of helped us with moving some merchandise around and also helping out some of the fan stuff. But she's over in China now, and they've unfortunately never panned to her. Both today and yesterday. I was really looking out during the Wave of Ultra Prime series, but fortunately we didn't get to see her there.
Unlucky, but
yeah,
maybe better luck next. Better luck. There've been crowds.
Oh, we're getting more Spellbook Sejuani. This has been creeping up. As again, Spellbook got buffed a few patches ago, and we're continuing to see the exploration. I think it makes Climber really, really dangerous in the early game, because now you can invade Shun with Ignite or Exhaust, and there's nothing he can do versus you if you can gain priority with one of these solo lanes.
Especially against a Trundle, you will take every bit of fighting prowess you get in the early game. The engage from Shuo immediately countered. Thus is the power of the Taric, and Shuo has to flash out at level 1.
This is why you never want to be able to be in this situation as a Leona. Like, Taric is always going to counter you. He's going to have that shield, and then you're playing into early game Corki. Level 1 Corki is one of the most disgusting lane bullies. And now they even get the cleanse out from Peyz, and I gotta take a note of this. Look at where the junglers are heading down. They are moving in this direction.
Yeah, we are burning summoners on cooldown, and it's no wonder we're attracting attention. In fact, the junglers may not even get here before we get some kills. Stun's not going to land. YCX flash from Peyz to secure first blood, and Savior may go down as well. Flash from him into the cleanse. Savior manages to stay alive, gets shut down by Zhuo. It is a bloodbath in the bot lane.
And the wave is pushing in favor of them, so this is going to be a huge amount of golden experience that is missed by LGD, especially for Savior. He barely hits level 2 in the middle of that, and that was the advantage that JDG were playing around. Junglers are still heading down here, and that is a raw solo kill from Scout.
Solo kill from Scout, early wave push, and the kills from JDG in the bot lane. This is solving a lot of the draft issues. This is slowly but surely doing it. We were worried about what the Taric would mean, but the counter engage doesn't go their way.
Just this right here, I love the distance and the difference in where Peyz and Zhuo are playing. It makes it hard for YCX to properly put down that Cosmic Radiance and get those stuns down. Yes, it's the Summoner spell, and you do trade that from both of the AD carries, but in mid lane in particular, this was a champion that we've been waiting all series long here for XQW, who has played this champion to perfection in other series. This is not the time to be faltering in that mid matchup.
And in strong, hold that thought. Stun gonna connect. In a strong juxtaposition to what happened bot lane, no summoners were burned from Scout to secure that 1v1 win, and XQW burned both of his.
If XQW had Q3 on that last trade in mid, maybe they kill Scout, at the very least force another summoner spell, but he just TP'd back in. He's already pretty low. Scout has to play a little bit more respectfully here, because Trundle's on the bottom side of the map, and with this wave pushing away from XQW, Yone knows I cannot be on this side. I have to be able to give up this wave.
Skepp doesn't have vision on top side. He
Yeah.
was just going for that, knowing that in all likelihood, Climber is too far away to help. JDG can pull off a small freeze in the bot side as well, just draw LGD a little closer to their side of the map. Xiaoxu up here is the only lane that we haven't seen action in just yet. It's been a nice chill time for both of these top laners. Trading farm, trading blows, but not too much action up there until the first item break.
Oh yeah, it's Udyr Jax. Like, if Udyr tries to trade into him, he just completely blocks it to Counter-Strike. I'm glad that for our producer and for our observers back in China that they don't have to deal with what was Cassante Udyr for the longest time, one of the worst top lane matchups to watch. So it's going to be a pretty large wave bouncing away from Peyz and Zhuo. And watching how maybe we get a little bit more action, but honestly with how this is already kind of laid out, I think that LGD are going to feel maybe a little less inclined to move in and try to find angles.
Electrocute proc from Scout not going to go off this time, so XQW does get to keep his health bar. But check out the zoning that JDG have on LGD in this bot side. Complete control of the wave for Peyz and Zhuo. And it's turned into a pretty casual game for Shun as well. We finally got the Infernal Dragon available, but completely unbothered. Xiaoxu jumping forward, doesn't quite get the kill.
Alright, that's the Grandmaster's might, really important there. Xiaoxu is going to push out this last wave, probably just retreat back to his turret. But what I want to note is the experience differential between our two AD carries. It's quite massive. Right now it is being built back up here by Savior because he catches this large wave, but depending on how this mini wave looks when we go back and pan towards bottom lane, Peyz is going to hit level 5. He's going to be in a really strong position. And if we're talking about bottom laners, by extension, looking at these two supports and how quickly they can hit level 6 can be a game changer.
Big field mid lane. You may see a stun come through.
Oh my god. Wow, that is incredibly close there.
Nice job to get away from the Scout. Do not see that every day. Shun going for the Scuttle Crab, however, is a little bit risky as a result. He's completely lost mid lane priority. The Climber, knowing that, is going to be able to push him out just fine. Savior did try and get a little too close to the Scuttle Crab himself. Takes a chunk. But LGD still managed to secure the Scuttle Crab.
Let's take a look. What's going on here? What's this?
Thrown over it.
I'm getting old.
It's the Ignite. It's the Ignite. I got you.
You're never fighting a Trundle as Trundle if you're playing into Ignite takedown. Like, that is part of the strength of this spellbook, and we got to see a little bit from our supports. YCX teleporting back in. Gonna hit level 6 before his counterpart here. That grub spawning in 40 seconds. Where and how our supports find experience in these next upcoming moments is going to be pivotal to whether or not they're going to have it available for one of these objective fights.
Be tracking it over the next couple minutes, especially with Xiaoxu just having backed. Normally you'd see him start to rotate bot if they were going to pull off a lane swap, but he's not hitting one of those. Instead, mid lane belongs to Savior and YCX. Peyz and Zhuo are still hanging out on bot side. And that unfortunately means nobody's going to be really ready as grubs spawn from the side of JDG.
Alright, Zhuo just showed on bottom side. He has teleport thanks to his spellbook. Probably going to teleport into mid lane as we see now. YCX needs to sit on this mid wave because he is so close to hitting level 6. That Cosmic Radiance is going to make or break this fight. But I'm looking at Savior. He is late. LGD are going to have to make a late entrance into this objective, if at all. And it seems like they do want to fight this. They have some pretty important ultimates coming through.
Confirmation, YCX has hit level 6. Ultimate available, Zhuo. Waiting for a pickoff right now. We'll see if LGD decide to contest this. You have to imagine that they will. Peyz is going to start early autoing onto Climber, looking for a safe place to be. Fate Seal going to connect, but the stun will not. YCX pops the Cosmic Radiance, keeps himself and the team alive, but JDG now put him in the pressure cooker. No way to escape from Aurora, and JDG claim 3 quick kills.
And they get all of the grubs. This is incredibly problematic now for LGD in a fight that had to be played incredibly carefully from their side. They're letting Peyz free fire and build up all those Unleash stacks. Even the ultimate from YCX, I think, not getting as much value. a single auto attack away there, and an amazing counter strike from Xiaoxu keeps him alive. But think about this team now, Dia. Like, grubs, all 3 grubs on Aurora and Jax. They are going to rip apart these side lanes. I mean, look again at how this fight starts. It's a ultimate from Climber that nobody can take advantage of. XW eventually finds this ult, but the timing on it just completely whiffed. And the Cosmic Radiance only onto 2 members. This is not what we wanted from the Terror, and an amazing fight from JDG.
And in the very small time that XQW was kept immortal, or functionally immortal, nothing got done.
Yeah.
No damage was realistically dealt by the Yone. I'm going to call it maybe 700 HP. And then all of a sudden, you can't leave. Scout pops the ult on top of everyone, and JDG get to, in close range with the Trundle, Jax, and Yunara, have their way with you.
By the way, remember, this game started with them being 3-1. This entire start. So JDG already had the Feats of Warfare. Now they get the first objective. They have their bottom lane in position to move if they need it. This is a really interesting lane allocations. JDG are deciding to put this Yunara and Leona in mid lane, while JDG are trying to move away from having Jax in a very powerful spot, but it requires for Savior and YCX to be up in top side, which allows for JDG to have a little bit more say and decision power of whether or not we want to move into top side and get vision, help out our Jax, or leverage some of the strength of Aurora, who will have ultimate coming up now. Do we want to play for this dragon now?
The dragon was really what was standing out to me as you illustrated this, but watching Zhuo move up towards the top side, it does seem like the defense of the turrets is taking precedent over anything else. Climber pops in here just to see if they can fish for a dive onto Xiaoxu, but now that Zhuo is here, this dive must be impossible, and that's without even knowing that Shun is waiting just a screen away.
Looks like they're going to call it off. Instead, let's just get the wave in. They know that Peyz is moving on forward.
Peyz has flash and cleanse.
Oh.
Saves the flash and the cleanse. This got kind of cold.
Yeah. Uses his ultimate, which gives him the dash alongside those push-in steps. So just completely saves his ability. That's really smart play. And Peyz is an incredible duelist now. Kraken Slayer completed for this Yunara in a very strong position. You can start to see those item completions come through for JDG. Trinity Force finished for Jax. Trinity Force soon to be done here by Shun after one more camp. It looks like he is pulling the dragon now. And because they know they got mid-prio, JDG get to have their pick of the litter and play for whatever objective they want.
No worries about this, and I'm glad they took it slow as well, because imagine had JDG rushed down here and not prioritized Xiaoxu's safety, they would have lost first turret. Instead, they get to keep first turret, keep Xiaoxu alive, turn it into a dragon as well. JDG are getting everything they asked for and more.
Oh, they get the teleport here from Sasi. Scout has just been wailing away at the turret. 3 grubs just makes it so simple for JDG. Incredibly easy for them to find picks. There's the ultimate here from XQW, so I can't imagine there's going to be a real fight. And now, LGD with no jungle camps that they can play for, and a lot of vision here from JDG. They can make whichever plays they want, and they feel really empowered that they're going to be able to get a lot more.
Meanwhile, Climber's chilling bot side, can do absolutely nothing. Scout locks XQW in here for just a second before ultimately the splash out, but this is not a winning situation for LGD, especially with the fact that, yes, the play didn't net them anything. LGD, ooh.
Agreed. Let's get the highlight around here. No little bros. I like these guys. Correct.
These guys, I suspect the people who voted in this poll may have been watching the series.
You know, the people who also probably voted also are currently watching the series. That is highly likely.
That's powerful. That's extremely powerful.
I know.
I mean, this is really looking so handily JDG favored, and in a situation where they do not have the draft issues that they had last game. Early game has gone their way, the objectives have gone their way, the composition is good, and doesn't have functional problems with LGD.
To be fair, also, JDG, they got a little bit of house money they can play with. Like, they've got at least 2 games they can faff about and kind of do whatever they please. While up to LGD, this is essentially a best of 1 from the rest on here. Every single game has to count if they want any chance of having a postseason here. So, you have the sorry, the Herald spawning in 50 seconds. Can LGD find any possible play here? They don't have a teleport from Sasa. This is tough.
I mean, it makes me so sad to watch what just happened as well. Climber sitting around the mid wave. Scout having just taken top wave threat. I mean, maybe this is the play. XQW flashes for this. Climber does eventually find his own ultimate, so Scout will go down. The amount of resources expended here is tough, but finding a play at this point is worth it.
Yeah, Jax is going to have teleport. Sasa will not, so Sasa needs to keep Jax underneath this turret. Like you said, a lot used during that. Climber, no flash, and no ultimate from this mid-jungle of LGD. Imagine that it's just going to be them cycling through, maybe buys them a little bit of time, and most importantly, I think, stops JDG from immediately ripping this objective. Scout will have teleport and is going to be respawning in a few seconds' time here. Corky's going to have first move. Can they make a play on this roll?
Eclipse completely busted ability, by the way.
Yep.
Damn. Shwo just gets to live through anything that they could have thrown at him for a few seconds, and absolutely works in JDG's favor because the stall is enough for Scout to teleport back up into the top side, and now you've got a pretty even numbers fight. LGD, remember, having expended so much to put only Cosmic Radiance, and XQW doesn't even get it. YCX the next focus. The Savior has popped up into the top side, but looking still quite good for Shun as he circles back around going, you sure? Savior, do you want the chomp? Xiaoxu shows up, gives him the smack, and Peyz in the mid lane, maybe not having as good of a time, will go down, but Xiaoxu falls as well. So 1 for 1 in the mid lane, and in the top side, it's just a JDG win.
Yeah, it's a 3-for-1 trade. I think even with Peyz dying in mid lane, yeah, I gotta say, mathematically speaking, it's pretty work.
Yeah,
That's kills going over. Those are summoner spells being burnt by the opponents. And now another objective here as JDG got the first turret. They got all 3 of the first objectives. They got the first 3 kills of the game. I am struggling to see a situation here where JDG at all find windows to lose this one.
We did see the compositional hope of LGD for just a second around the top side. They do have some pretty incredible ability to lock one person down and say, sorry, not today. If around these side lanes they can find picks, I'm not going to say that'll get them enough of a way back into the game, but it'll certainly give them a better chance of being able to play the macro game with the numbers.
Hey, look at
this a great example, but again, Shwo with the Eclipse, busted ability, gets to live through all of that. No Cosmic Radiance available just yet. It means that LGD have to fight this out with their raw health bars. Exhaust is going to go down onto Peyz, and Peyz will fall. Numbers advantage secured by LGD. Shun being chased down now as well means that Scout's got to come in from the side and save the day. He and Xiaoxu clean up the back line, while Xiaoxu is still looking for Shun, and granted, might find him.
Oh, wait, he's
Hold
getting
on.
so much healing. Subjugate, and the lockdown.
And he lives.
Mr. Rhino gives him the last bit of HP. It is 14-4. I think we gotta say it now. They're gonna spawn Herald in mid lane. It is looking like a shutout here. JDG want to prove that the only teams coming out of Group Nirvana are gonna be EDG and they're gonna be NIP.
This is the next step for JDG. We did talk about them finding their comfort style at the start of the day. Now that we're seeing the early success and unquestionably pile up for JDG, after 3 games of watching them play, what is that comfort style looking like for you? What are we expecting to take from the series into the rest of playoffs?
I think a lot of why we saw JDG succeed, especially in their last 2 series, the ones back-to-back against Weibo, what we saw is when Xiaoxu is cut out of a game, this team lacks direction. And while this Jax is very, very powerful, the solo lanes are really, I think, making a huge difference here in this series. We have spent a lot of time talking about Scout and XQW, but again, Xiaoxu on this Jax, and in particular, the different impacts we've seen from them so far throughout this series and throughout the year has really made it so that this team is incredibly solo lane focused. You could say what you want about having a carry jungler in Shun. You could talk about Peyz having to be a secondary carry for this lineup, but push comes to shove, what we've seen so far in Split 3, it is all around Xiaoxu and Scout.
Shun being backed into a corner there. is ultimately Xiaoxu and Scout to come back to save him. Now Shun frontlining for that same backline. XQW does commit, might even find the kill onto Scout here, but the burst is enough out of this Aurora to take him down. Not losing a single person. JDG, clean house on the top side, set up for whatever they would like. There's no objective here.
Yeah.
But it may just be the next couple champion kills.
Shun,
gets a little too close to Savior, goes down! We're throwing. We're throwing.
Yes, guys, this is the one kill. This will save us. It's come back. We're coming back from a 7,000 gold lead at 19.5 minutes. And if you want to be able to clean out those gold leads, if you want to be able to punish your opponents like the pros do, you can go ahead and take a look at our sponsor, Pro Diff. I have a code for them, an LPL 10 to save 10% off, and this is for one-on-one coaching with a variety of different professionals coming in from the ERLs, the NACL, and current LTA professionals. So if you want to get access, you want to see how to snowball leads like JDG, you might be able to tap in on our sponsor.
If you're able to play like they are this game, it'll be well worth it. Watching JDG win this, even with an immortal XQW in their backline, this is the dream for LGD. And even their dream is not quite enough.
Let's just be clear. The Yone has not really gone off to the best start. Remember, getting solo kills early on. We talked about from draft, part of the reason why we've seen this combo work so many times across the league, but in specific for LGD, is seeing that synergy between Climber and XQW, two players that were brought up from LGD's youth team and won the LDL just last year, but not seeing it this game, and really a disconnect between these two, leading into more and more troubles here against JDG.
Peyz maybe getting caught out again. This time, though, does have Flash and Cleanse up, so will not be a replay of last team fight on our screens. Gets away, and this is where things get really difficult. When Peyz has Flash and Cleanse up, when the escape tools are available for JDG, making a play for LGD is that much harder, and they've got to do it around Otacon. Xiaoxu gets into the front line, but whoa, just takes up a lot of time. Triple man stun out of the counter-strike, and in comes the Scout with a nice bit of damage. Keeps everybody from LGD in the same space. This is a tighter fight for JDG, and one that they are still able to come out on top of. Savior backing off, does immense amount of damage, but the pain of being pillared is going to cost him. Gets chomped, gets taken out. It's a triple kill for Peyz, and JDG return to the game state that they know and love, dominating the enemy jungle, and this time taking the Otacon.
That was really close, because if you're sitting around Otacon, it is shredding your resistances the entire time. And that was a very tricky spot for them to find that. If that goes even slightly more in LGD's favor, imagine they take that objective. We can take a look at this one more time. Dwo immediately burst it out. As soon as they come over, that's the Dwo we know and love. Maybe a little hate watching there. But this stun from Xiaoxu on the three members sets up this between worlds. And right here, I gotta say, this is where it gets a little dicey. Not only does XQW miss out on the Q3, but this Otacon is ripping away at JDG. But I think the gold lead is just too much at this point. When we come back to live, I really want to focus on mid lane. He's going to have the Otacon completed, which gives him more adaptive force, more experience. This is going to essentially be a 5,000 to 6,000 gold lead in the mid lane alone.
Yeah, this game of all of them has been the one where Scout's impact is most evident to me because of his ability to impact the team fight on a large scale. And we're going to see that once again. Waiting on the between worlds to be popped, and out it goes in the middle of the Cosmic Radiant. Scout is zipping around the battlefield, this time setting Peyz up for a double kill, and it is LGD being maybe not so gently reminded that this game, this jungle is not theirs. It is a quadra kill for Peyz, and they are looking for the penta. Climber doesn't want to give it to him, but he knows. Oh no! Scout, what are we doing?
And you know what's the best part? There has been 3 separate pieces of content from voice columns of JDG members taking the pentakill away from Peyz, which is, I think, ultimately the best way for them to end this. This is, I think, his 3rd penta potentially stolen from him. I know Shun almost got one earlier and Peyz stole it in one of their last series, so unfortunate, and they were really, really squeezing for that objective there. JDG are going to get even more gold, and This just feels like we are doing last moment flourishes before we send this team off the playoffs.
I mean, Climber even gave it to him.
Yep. That's a scorch diff right there. Okay. Look back at this fight. We were talking about it. Was the Cosmic Radiance going to do enough? No. But is Tarek really to blame when the rest of your team is so far behind because you have no damage to be able to do this? And then the rest of this fight, I think pretty easy. Xiaoxu, again, this Jax is so powerful against this team. All right. Let's hit the slow-mo LPL observers. I need to see it. Let's get the Scorch Frost. Yep, there it is.
No.
Thank you, Scout. Love you, buddy.
Climber even stopping for it, and then it not going right. It's even more tough. I think that, especially after having watched the conclusion of that team fight, LGD are no longer in denial about what is going on in this game.
Oh, yeah.
If Climber is S-keying on the turret, they know that this is a formality, and the next couple of minutes should be expedited by the fact that now we've got a Baron on the menu, and Baron is very, very good at closing out games when you can take fights. Fights like JDG can take fights.
Okay, so now, Dia, here comes the fun part. Because JDG are so ahead, the Baron's going to give them 1,500 gold.
Yeah.
They're already almost 1,200 or 12,000 gold ahead of their opponents.
Yeah.
So imagine, goes up to 14. They're also going to be able to take over these last couple turrets. Do you think we're going to get a 20k gold? We've been getting them a little bit more recently. Maybe if they decide to give a triple kill over to Xiaoxu.
I mean, I could absolutely see it. Xiaoxu wins this fight, right?
Maybe not 4v5. Scout.
Oh, wait. He's got some assistance. Xiaoxu at least living for now. Counter-strikes and gets away the flash to take him out of the Tarek stun as well. Scout is here to back him up. Xiaoxu recommits into the Counter-Strike, finds another stun, is still alive! JDG are styling on him!
Oh my god, let's go! Solo lanes on JDG. They're gonna look to put the finishing touches on this game. 30-7. Soul be damned. Let's get this over with.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have the time to hit 20k at this point. YCX will fall. JDG completely undaunted in this third game. First game was close. Second game was closer. Third game, JDG send themselves into the playoffs and up for a chance at redemption.
Oh, man. That's tough. That last fight is very fun. If you're a JDG member, you're having fun. LGD, you kind of got styled on in that last part. But with a gold lead like that, I can't imagine you're going to be expecting much else. Congratulations to JDG for making it into the playoffs. I think not an unexpected result coming into tonight, but with the form that we have seen from them, anything is possible. There was always a miracle chance here for LGD to make some upsets happen.
Yeah, this was a nice start to the series. Game 1, Game 2. I mean, Game 1 actually really taking me by surprise because there I very much felt like there was a draft disadvantage from LGD, and yet they still had an advantage in the middle of the game. So that was very cool to watch happen, especially after the 0-3 predictions that were coming to JDG.
Yeah, and the thing I want to say for LGD is, yes, I've been hampering on mid lane. We've been talking about some of the weaknesses of this team, but a reminder, not only are they a Group Nirvana team, but this team unable to find another win outside of Split 1 in a best of 5. And for the experience or lack thereof on this squad, I think does kind of speak to their performance here. If we're talking about positives to take away for LGD as we say goodbye to them for one last time here in 2025, it is that I think that we did get some growth from some of these players. I think that Savior and YCX showed that earlier on into the year that they could actually toe the line against some of our better teams. And Sasa, I think, is an interesting enough top laner that some teams should be willing to maybe take a look or take a try on. The thing I'm probably the most disappointed about in this team is Climber. Not just in this series, but his storyline throughout this whole year was winning LDL in 2024, coming onto this lineup, getting a year worth of experience, but all of that is cut short by LGD bringing Nio in the middle of Split 2, and that team looking remarkably better with that player on. So not only do you have to come back into this team as, hey, I got benched for the last time, but now I have to take back this spot, but I think it was valuable game time that could have been spent potentially producing a better player like this, but in chase of wins is what LGD were looking for.
Yeah, this was a difficult year for LGD, especially with the instability that they experienced during Split 2. I think that ultimately you are still taking this as this is your first year. You make it to the play-ins in Split 3. Sure, it's not anything stellar. This isn't going to be, they were a prodigy from a young age and they came up and rose up and took the LPL. But it's still going to be a natural beginning of what is likely going to be some very nice careers in the LPL. Again, depending on where these teams go and what teams see strengths in the individual players, because we certainly got glimpses of those throughout the year. Very, very impressive day from them, and again, I really want to emphasize that across Game 1 and Game 2, the game advantage states that they found themselves in are games that I think with more experience, with more game time, perhaps with more roster stability, we see them closing those out and taking us to a longer series.
Either that or they got to get some better coaching staff, guys. I'm sorry to 1874. I don't think I saw too much development outside of multiple plays. I don't think we got like a very set identity. And I think a lot of the troubles for this roster ended up coming in earlier into the year, where I just remember a Caitlyn game from Savior, who he was trying his damnedest and his team let him down. There is a Draven game where he's the only person, he's 1v3 and he's actually winning fights, but it's just not enough. Something happens in mid lane, XQW sends a Realm Warp and kills himself right before an Elder. Like, too many mid-game macro decisions that end up punching back at LGD, and I think we saw that in parts of this series, where you look at their opponents, not a clean series from JDG early on, but something that we did note as they got further into the series, I think they got a lot more comfortable and they got to feel themselves out and mostly feel what their opponents were putting down.
So I am expecting, this is not radical, this is probably a Scout MVP.
Oh, yeah.
My question to you is, this has been a difficult split, a difficult year for Scout.
Yeah.
Did this series, where he displayed remarkable consistency, we praised him across 3 games, actually end up assuaging any of your fears going into playoffs?
I think slightly. The difference is that, like, he's playing against XQW. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, XQW had multiple situations where he misplayed, especially in these last 2 games. Game 1, much more playable. But Game 2, like, the Talia was essentially non-existent. Game 3, he gets solo killed level 3 by the Aurora as on his comfort champion Yone, which we V1, by the way. So typically when you're first picking a champion, you have to, that champion is one where you're not only confident that you're going to blind, but you have to have some amount of impact. You're going to be a big player in that team.
Yeah.
That was not what we got from XQW. And there were moments here where I think Scout showed a little bit of that slide in form that we've seen from him, but the enemy team wasn't able to punish those mistakes. And we got a good, overall, I agree. We got a great performance from Scout. It's, I think, hard to calibrate when you look at the opponents that they're going up against.
It's completely understandable. I don't think that it's necessarily the case, and it's even an unlikely case that a single series would make you go, oh, okay, everything is fixed.
Yeah.
But a good thing to check in on, especially because that's the next step for JDG, is solving a lot of the problems that they experienced during this split, during this year, because it was always anticipated coming into today that this is a stepping stone for them, that they must be this tall to ride, and now they have to be even taller in order to get to Worlds and beyond.
Thankfully for JDG, they have so much name power on their team that I think going into play-ins or playoffs, they're going to be in a much easier position. The issue that I'm now kind of coming to grasp with is we have now finished our play-ins. We know all 4 teams that are going to fill in the last 4 of our top 8 teams going into playoffs. The other 2 teams, so looking from standings, Top Esports and IG are going to have first pick as to which opponents they want to go up against. And obviously, in descending order, all of our teams will choose. Actually, this would be a perfect time to go to our playoff bracket. So in order from left to right, Top Esports most likely is going to pick either Ninjas of Pajamas or Edward Gaming.
Sure.
IG will then choose the next player, or the next, Nirvana team other than the one that Top Esports chose. Then IG and BLG, or AL and BLG, will get the last picks of those last 2 remaining teams. And if I'm AL as the third, or if I'm BLG as the 3rd team, I'm probably picking JDG. So this could be very one-sided starts to playoffs that leads our first round of playoffs to be not super exciting in my mind.
I mean, in a way, designed that way. Designed,
Yeah.
to let the teams who have succeeded previously also get some nice wins in the first round. It would be nice to see some upsets, but realistically, the hope for a lot of these squads, even having made it in through play-ins, is going to be realistically moving into the lower bracket.
Correct.
Yeah.
Especially when we look at our Group Nirvana teams. Ninjas of Pajamas and Edward Gaming took down opponents that were struggling throughout Split 3. WE and FPX were essentially near winless teams outside of facing each other. And especially for FPX, they barely won any games throughout most of the season. They were like 11-30. So a very tough season for them. And so how both of our Nirvana teams are really going to shake out in the bottom half of the bracket is pretty interesting. We have our MVP coming on through. Please say it's Scout. Yes, it is.
Nice.
Okay. So aside from the Shun one that we saw in game 1, the votes have been relatively tame.
I gotta rewatch that VOD.
Maybe we were just Shun hating.
Maybe.
I don't want to do that because we have another fan of the show, 1010. She is a very big fan of this JDG roster. And so typically when we do some Shun hate, it's a little sad. She usually understands.
You know what? Sorry. Shun hate, which was non-existent, aside. I didn't... Normally when I watch JDG games, at some point I'm going, Shwo, huh? That didn't happen. I mean, yeah.
There was that fight on top side where he like got the Leona at the very end towards Otacon.
Yeah.
Where he kind of just instantly died.
That was Otacon though.
Yeah, that was Otacon diff. I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I think we've been getting better games from Shwo.
Yeah.
Which I think is really important.
I think it's I'm also, similar to a Scout situation where you've got to balance against who you're playing against.
Yeah.
But being on the same page as your team, and I'm extending this a little bit more because I also saw a little bit more coordination between he and the rest of the squad against Weibo a few days ago. So the fact that he was able to also not be on a completely different page from the team today, pretty good sign.
All right, we're getting towards the end of our show. Obviously, a very quick night with a 3-0. Before we do all of our closing out stuff, Dia, I want to thank you for being on the show tonight and getting a guest spot. Tell the people where they can find you and what you're up to.
Oh, I mean, they can find me, I suppose, at Esports Dia on X. That's what they call it now. And
all right, never mind. You can call it X. We're getting try that again. We're gonna try this again.
You can find me at Esports Dia on Twitter, and I think on everything.
Sure.
And then I mean, I don't want to plug other esports.
No,
but I do
it's
other
okay.
esports.
For an unofficial broadcast, you can. This is the perfect time to do it. This is probably the only
Okay.
time you're going to be able to talk about Apex.
All right, well, I do cast an insane amount of Apex Legends, and I occasionally observe for Deadlock.
Oh, nice.
Fun.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Maybe I'll be back here. Who knows?
There you
We
go.
Run LTA South. Watch LTA South.
It was so funny. Actually, this is going to be a small aside. We did our whole thing about like LPL English, and
Yeah.
someone said, "Wow, I wish there was something like this for LTA South."
Oh my god.
I remember pinging you about this too.
I didn't comment on it because I was like, me commenting on it can only be like me getting rage baited. But like, we have an English broadcast for LTA South.
And it's existed way longer than this broadcast.
We've run
has.
like 5 years. Watch the LTA South. It's not. We're not going to be beating LPL teams anytime soon.
Oh, yeah.
But we're very fun. We're very fun.
All right, well, reminder, this is our last night before we go into playoffs. Our next match is going to be that top 8 double elim best of 5 starting on September 7th. You do not have to wake up at a degenerate time to watch these games tomorrow, September 7th. You have a little bit of time here. You can go watch the LCK regionals that they're playing, and they also have LTA South and LTA North games happening soon. That's really funny. As we finish out our broadcast, I want to give a huge shout out to our elite coffee supporters, Aaron Mung, Forest Without, no, what? Give me the, no, it's Aaron Soup, Mung, Owners of Silmaril, and Forest Without. I got it right. I'm usually never the one that has to make, give me the read. Go to the Ross. You just are sitting there, my producer. Thank you. Their pledged financial contributions help level up the broadcast, and give back to the cast and crew who's trying to give you an LPL English product every single day. All right.
Thank you.
We made it. This is the end of our broadcast. Thank you to everybody from not only our staff here, Ilya on production, all of our moderators and people on socials, to the people watching the stream. The LPL English unofficial product is unbelievable, unbelievably supported by the fans, making a lot of opportunities happen that otherwise we would not have access to. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in a couple days' time for Split 3 playoffs.